But that's the thing, Java and Adam Hart. Since it's political, it's the same thing as like, I'm trying to simplify it, but it's almost like your parent. I'm trying to make the parallel. So like your parents are fighting, and like work. Let's say like the dad needs something done, but a complete third party, let's say like you, the kid, is like doing something. It's different when it's like parents. So it's almost like two friends are like having a dispute, but then a complete third party is like coming in and being like, oh, we're doing something with this person, but we need your approval. And then meanwhile they're fighting about something else, and they're like, well, we don't care. Like, what? That's not our event. Like, you chose to all of a sudden do it. Why do we even care to listen to you? We're fighting about something else. And so to just like FIDE is kind of inserting themselves and being like, hey, you gotta let these guys in. And then if Canada is like letting them in, they're gonna be like, oh, but we want something from you, India. And this is all caused because FIDE is like jumping in the middle. Trying to get mom and dad back together, at least for a weekend. But it's hard to draw a parallel because the situation itself is kind of self-explanatory, actually. Yeah, that's what I think, Iron Galaxy. But we'll see whether they're good enough to do it. Yep, exactly, Java. That's a great parallel. Very, very similar. It's the same kind of thing. Just people advocating for something and other people having rules. There's so much at play, it's not even worth thinking about. So we'll see what happens. But yeah, big tweet from FIDE. They don't have their ducks in a row at all. All right, I'm gonna jump into our speedrun. Hello to Chess TV. See if we can put together some attacking games here. Playing 5-minute chess. We're at 1400. I attack, you resign. Let's see if people actually listen to that. Okay, I'll play e5. I really do think c5 has been working quite well for me. Let's go for this. A lot of people play this. I'm keeping it aggressive. Alright. Kind of gotta go for this. Even though it has a... I'm gonna take back. Even though it has a possibility for this move to get played and the queens can get traded, it's still a pretty double-edged position. Castle, bishop e7, for example. Rook g1 is the most likely I think we can appreciate. Goes here, we'll definitely just line up our queen and bishop on the knight. And already there's very serious problems here. Not even sure what to recommend. Queen takes. Trades the queens, which, yeah, I mean, I'm not thrilled about, but a free piece is a free piece, and I think the general point of the series is not to overcomplicate. Okay, wow, crazy decision. I know he just lost a piece, but no, it can't be doing that. I'm gonna castle next. absolutely no regard is going to be given to this bishop, because you can take it and I'll just bring my rook over. I could also castle short, but it feels nice to get the rook on the open file here. And yeah, I'm not going to turn down a free piece just because it trades queens. That's the mark of a poor attacker. Like, you got to cash in your material at that point. Okay, I'll bring this here first. He's probably going to go bishop e3. I can't imagine why he wouldn't. Bishop b4 exists, but I'm kind of liking maybe even knight to g4 here. So let's see here. If bishop here, for example, you can't play queen there. You can play queen there. And that's a little annoying. Yeah, queen here. So I don't think there's like complete KO. This one stops all these queen moves. Might lead to the most aggressive position. Just yeah, taking advantage of the king in the middle here as best we can. Is rook e3 an actual threat? It's a good question. Queen here, bishop f4. There's queen f5 check. But once we can get the queen off this bishop, it does feel like this is close to being a threat. Still, after we sack, I don't exactly see a mate. Yeah, he goes for this. Knight g4 is playable, but this queen actually looks kind of good here. I'd rather play h6, chase it to a worse square, and then go in with my knight. So bishop f4, I just didn't like queen f5 check. It's not like it's a terrible move, but I'd rather just see the queen go to g7. And then, yeah, knight g4, like, looks pretty good. Guards this, hits this. And now even king d2 would probably be insufficient. We can take on e3 in a number of different ways. Yeah, I think rook e3 leads to checkmate. Knight e2, a pretty good looking move. So obviously we can just take on e3, like that'll always be pretty damn good. Bishop e5 kind of looks like it might be one of the best moves. Queen h7, rook h8 traps the queen, for example, so that looks extremely good. A little bit hard for me to turn down. But I like this move also because bishop b2 and maybe even bishop c3 later could be a really nice idea. So yeah, rook h8 traps the queen here. There exists knight g1. I imagine we have a move there. I think I am looking to start with this. After rook b1 though, what comes next? Bishop c3 takes, rook e3 takes. I don't think I don't think taking the queen is ever going to be a bad idea. Winning a queen will guarantee me the game. Trying to checkmate and not necessarily having a clear like forced mate could still lead me astray. So a nice move by my opponent here, but I think I'm just gonna retreat my queen and continue to guard the f5 square. So yeah, I was just thinking queen f6, and the queen still has the same issues as before. This should be a pretty successful game, pretty successful attack here. Definitely mixed it up early with b5 to throw our opponent off. He's been fighting to save his queen here, but moves like this, they just don't really save the queen, unfortunately. Go here, and everything that previously existed exists now. A bishop. So continues to get better and better for us here. But we'll cash in our material. We'll take this one. And what's the best way to deliver a mate? I think we start with the rook. King only has 2 squares, and it looks like I'm gonna have 2 different ways to take those squares away with check. So in some order, I think those moves will win, and not this one because the king goes down. GG. It's mainly this that throws people off. d5. Okay, it's not like the absolute best move in the position, but it's certainly, you're not going to find too many people that know kind of what to do here. So yeah, nice opening, nice attack there. I'm sticking with e4. I wonder when I'll need to do anything but the scotch. I'm honestly going to keep doing it until it like stops working, like until I see people really playing proper lines against it. But for now, so many people either take or play this line, and I think knight here, it just gets me long castled relatively easily, so I've been enjoying that. So we'll see how this plays out here, but okay, knight there. Let's just move the queen. That square's covered. I'm not bothered by knight there because later on I think it's probably just going to be helpful. I'd love to see knight c4. Yeah, oh, that's perfect. Basically, I haven't developed my bishop. To me, he's just like helping me develop. I'm gonna go ahead and play. I think I want to do this, but he's not castled just yet. So the only thing I could consider other than that is to open up the center with e5. Bishop takes and e5. Yeah, I think that's probably the way to go here. Like if we're being serious, we want to take, we want to play e5, and after takes, we can move our queen and hit his queen. And essentially, he's not going to have a safe place to go because he's not going to be able to castle in either direction. So I feel like this is a good moment to be a little aggressive because the king's in the middle. Knight here definitely threatens that. Yeah, taking is quite strong though. I think he's gonna castle next. So we could go queen d4, hitting the knight. If knight takes e5, f4, bishop takes, bishop back. He's gonna get castled there. Yeah, I feel like queen d4 and stuff like this is going to be pretty strong. Queen f4, knight takes doesn't look great. Pawn takes is phenomenal, but black gets the castle there, which I don't know if I love. And queen f4 always has this, so I'm trying to make moves that prevent my opponent from doing that as best I can. So let's try this to start. Pawn takes fails. Well, I'm attacking two pieces, so I'm kind of expecting bishop takes or knight takes. Bishop takes here, we have an interesting idea of taking like this, and then taking on g7, which looks pretty damn good to me. So I was expecting him to do that first. I'm not taking with the a pawn because of that, so here pawn takes this way. Also maintains a pretty nice threat. But I still think the way my opponent played it, we can do this. Bishop takes a2 is just... There's no way that's as dangerous as queen takes g7 for me. And if he castles now, well, he's just down a piece. So my opponent kind of has to continue there. But now the king is stuck in the middle. I'm still not completely safe, but this is not even checkmate. I can still trap the bishop with b3 and king b2, and the rook's coming to the middle pretty easily here. So first things first, let's take. If bishop e6, I can throw in d7 followed by rook e8, so he has to take back, I think. Yeah, we're very close to checkmate territory. Probably not quite there. That's very close though. Very, very, very close. b3 will always be an A+ move. Here. We can also start with knight b5. I assume bishop e6 is going to get played there. Just have to watch out for this in some moment. So I think I'm most likely going to play b3. Seems like the best move by far because it stops bishop e6. So even if I had dreams to attack, I can actually attack much better with b3. So b3 for me is a little bit about doing this, but mostly about giving this check, which looks pretty much GG. I will win the game if I get this check without bishop e6, but check bishop e6, not that easy to break through. Okay, runs with the king. I can definitely play king here. No point playing rook e1 after the king's already moved. We've got a free piece here, but also a really, really, really nice attack. Let's just take the piece. Don't need to be a hero just yet. That's the thing with attacking. Winning a piece is a successful attack. All right. Knight takes b5. I mean, clearly he wants to go queen a5. I don't really see it. I guess I'm just gonna take and see what happens there. Okay, he goes king. He goes king there again. Probably not gonna overthink and just go rook d6. Take the material. Keeps your life easy. And then queen a5 is the last one, but after rook d6, if the king goes here, we have this check. If the king goes here, we have this check. So we're kind of combining everything into anything into one. I guess there's queen e5 now that I'm looking at it. I was just thinking here, we always have this, and this pattern always mates. So even though knight c7 is covered and rook e1's covered, it's covered by the same piece. So it's overworked. But yeah, I just realized queen e5 is mate. And this is gonna be mate, of course. Yeah, b3 is definitely the best move here. Lots of good moves though. Bobby blocks. Yeah, even though he played a bit better here with bishop c5 line, I like that these knights and the development of the position naturally lends itself to queenside castling, which means we always get an imbalanced game. It's been working for some nice attacks lately, so I've been liking it. e4. Okay, c5. e6. Let's go for this. Might see d5. He goes knight here. See, bishop d3 is like, comes to mind, but yeah, for being purely objective here, d5 is definitely the way. So let's see if we can really make a statement about this opening. Very common would be like takes 97. Just, I see a lot of people lose a piece this way, so I assume it's gonna happen. d6, like, all you do is give a check, and because your pawn is here, they immediately lose a piece, so. And, am I afraid of this queen trade? Not at all. Like, I'm excited about this. Because all I want to do is trade pieces now. I won my piece. I don't need to bother, like, going for mate, trying to, like, sack things for an attack. The game should already be over. I see more weaknesses being created. We'll even castle opposite side just to, I mean, it just kind of worked out that way. I'll take it. I mean, I'm up a piece and there's no queens on the board, so I don't really buy it. Go bishop back. I might go to d3. Look for more trades once again. I can see him playing rook b8, so I'm kind of waiting for that move. But yeah, rook e1, knight e4. I'm not really going to do anything remarkable here, just try to put pieces where they attack pieces in my opponent's camp and go for trades. Got a couple trades lined up here. He's not going to be able to avoid both of them. Might not be able to avoid any of them. All right, ready for this? Boom. 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 All right, every piece is off the board now, folks. Nice and boring. He hasn't blundered rook b8, so honestly, I'm a little bit proud of him. I feel like that was the, that was almost like the most likely blunder candidate. So, credit to him for lasting so long without doing it. just want to take here. More trades. I'm extremely boring. Yeah. I don't know. Trades are just OP, man. No sense in sitting here like trying to figure out like how to attack. None of that. Just trade. I'm up a whole piece. Should be very easy to win. But there wasn't much to this opening. Knight f6 is just a bad move. D5, D6. I see people blunder this all the time. It's very common. At least knight e7 first would have been slightly better in the sense that D6 doesn't come with queen e2, but still, he's not in a good position. E4. I've been playing e5. I switch it up. Go for a little c5 here. F4. Okay, that's very aggressive. I'm going to stick with a6. I don't like dealing with bishop to b5. He's playing a kind of more normal, open Sicilian, it looks like. I'll put my bishop on e7. And we'll see what he wants to do. Sometimes they castle long here, but I would say the other way is a definite possibility. The pawn's being hit. b4 is a little bit of a threat, so this bishop move by my opponent makes sense. Let's kind of renew that threat. At some point, I'm going to start taking all these pawns people are hanging, if they continue to hang them. Good stuff from him. I think we just want to continue developing. This doesn't immediately yield like anything too special. Yeah, e5, knight d5, exactly. Exactly. Let's go here. Knight takes, probably take with the queen, and once again pressure that e-pawn. Another pretty good move. Yeah, I'm just going to elect to be slightly offensive here with h5. It has the idea of knight g4, and even if he goes h3, I'm happy to trade my h5 for your h3. Okay, interesting. Knight back to e2. I'm immediately, no thought, going to go after this bishop, because if the bishop goes back this way, I get this with check, and then h3 you can never take because the king is there, so I start to get a lot of offensive ideas. And if I can take this, I know it doesn't look like much, but the bishop will make it here, and there will be some threats. Maybe he'll play f5 for me. Always a great pre-move. You never know. Queen takes h2, objectively the best pre-move. Gotta stay ready out there. g5 is a funny move for the same idea, but not sure it's an entirely serious suggestion. Let's take. Bishop is the #1 piece you want to remove in this opening, so to have achieved that already, I feel pretty good about it. Yeah, it doesn't win material just yet, right? Because that's defended, but what we can do is enjoy our beautiful knight on g4 again one day. We just have to get it there. Obviously, it feels tempting to move this knight. I don't see exactly what to do. I mean, knight b4, like, assuming that he's got a head on his shoulders, right? He's just going to dodge that pretty easily. And in knight e5, he always has knight d4, so... All right, I'm going to go with g5 because I love knight e5 as a move, A+ move. But I can't play it right now, so I'm just gonna make it able to be played. Or at least try to. I mean, yeah, he might not take it, and he doesn't, which is fine. But we can take this now, perhaps. We can also push these pawns, but getting the e5 square looks juicy. I'm gonna take Queen f3. Mouse left? I don't know. Bit of an odd move there. Like, it's not the worst thing in the world, so maybe somehow it's intentional, but I don't know. I'll go bishop d6 just to make him like have to take with the knight if he wants to keep it. There's not a shot I'm ever playing e5. Do not ever touch that pawn. Yeah, I said I wanted my knight on e5, so let's do it. It also guards f7, which is another tremendous reason. And I'm seconds away from castling long. I know it looks kind of risky, but I feel like everything's lined up here for a move like that. Depends where he puts this. But yeah, I want to go knight g4. That'll be really nice, and castle. Those are my next two moves, probably. Pending what he does. A rook on g8 will be fantastic. So he goes here. Immediately I'm thinking this, but it kind of ruins my knight g4 move for me later. Yeah, it's tempting to take and unleash the bishop, but honestly it's kind of defended. Knight g6, there's knight e2, so I don't feel like I'm going to be winning any material there. I think I'm just going to castle and stick a rook on g8. That looks pretty reliable. Remember a4, I'll just throw b4 in there. I'm not in the business of opening up the queen side. Let's see if we can really get an attack going. What are your candidate moves here? Bishop takes. Now, you know, my friend here has my respect for this move. Unfortunately, it is just going to be losing a piece, so it's not really that good, but I still might choose to ignore it here in favor of other more interesting attacking moves. And I think I'm about to do that, so I'm going to start with knight g6. Just, yeah, winning like a full piece there. And if he defends it with the knight, then I can maybe grab the bishop. But I wouldn't be concerned here. Like, this move is almost never a thing unless there's a knight on d4, and maybe there's some tactics, but it's pretty rare. So I'm just saying, like, even if you took it back, like, you're just up a piece there, nothing to be concerned about. He does go knight back to guard. Makes a lot of sense, right? Now I'm just going to take this without knight takes b5. Looks pretty comfortable. Okay, he does want to open things up. I kind of mentioned earlier that I'm not in that business, so I'm just going to play b4. Even if he plays a6, a7, my bishop stays on a8, so I'm not too bothered here. Bishop a6 looks nice to pin that one. Probably does win material, but I think I'm a little bit more interested in kind of playing against maybe the g2 pawn and the king on h1. So I'm going to take that. Let's go here. I have the thing covered with my bishop on a8, but I'm actually going to go put my king there. Weirdly, it feels like kind of the safest place for that king. So I'll try to do that. Yeah, and now we can like bring our bishop back and maybe play queen c6. Take us. We're up a piece here, so I certainly wouldn't mind trading queens. I think you guys can imagine this move is very tempting, but certainly better to take here and not rush things because you want to make him take with the knight so that he doesn't have an answer. No point in rushing with this and then knight e5, or sorry, knight d4. It's like, yeah, I might have e5, but it just gets messy at that point. Like, no need for all that. Keep it simple. After rook e1, you'll definitely... Yeah, you can't really take that just yet. I thought he was going to use the other rook, so we'll take and take here. GG. Yeah, not every move was perfect there, but the general idea was felt. He launched a really nice attack. I don't know about g5, but I got a good feeling about it. It wasn't the craziest move. Of course, black can just make normal developing moves here, but g5 I thought was very much in the spirit of attacking, and if they don't take it, huge benefit to us. Anytime you play Sicilian and like you get their dark square bishop, look at this knight on e5. This guy dominates the whole board. Meanwhile, the pawns keep the knights out of every single square they could want to go to. So it was kind of a depressing position for him. I show the game review. I show the game review for some games, but no, I'm not looking to analyze every game for 15 minutes afterwards. They're 5-minute games, and there's lots of explanation during the game. So, yeah. If there's a moment in my head that I'm like, yeah, this is important to show, or something like that, then I do go back and check the game review after. Or if there's something that even I wasn't sure about, then I'm very interested. But seeing the same review now, but you see the whole thing. You want to see the things say good move, bad move. I'm not trying to do a full review. I mean, basically, you're just suggesting I do something, and I'm telling you that I'm not trying to show it to you. If I was trying to show it to you, then you would see it. I don't think it's very important for you to see an evaluation bar. Like, at this point, you're basically telling a driver to like drive with 2 hands on the steering wheel, and he's driving with 1. And it's like, if I want to drive with 2, I would drive with 2. Let's go e4 again. Knight f3. Okay, d6, d4. He's got to be a little careful here. Notice how I'm not taking with the queen, because then he would just play knight. They're attacking me. But now I don't mind the queen here, because there's no knight that can jump out. He goes queen here. I think you guys know that we don't do those queen trades this early. So I'm definitely not going to be taking. Then the question becomes, what am I doing? You guys know we're going to keep the queens on, so that's not a question. Maybe we just step back. I don't like blocking this bishop because you know my goal is kind of to get castled. I also have knight d5 coming. Bishop e7 will lose the game immediately. I feel like a lot of people played that move. Knight e7 would be a little bit better, but then you see knight e7 blocks the bishop, so it's kind of a no-win situation. Knight h6 he might do. It's not a great move at all. Like, I can just go f3. So yeah, knight e7. Great move, stopping knight d5. But again, if I go bishop e3 and castle, as soon as you move your knight and play bishop e7, I have this move waiting for you. So, although this looks tempting now, he can just return queen d8. And it's good, but I'm not sure how good. Instead, I'm just going to castle and just let him blunder with bishop e7. You know, bishop e6 would be, again, a bit better, but I've still got great knight moves to make. But he's making a lot of moves that I think run him into trouble. So yeah, let's probably jump in with the knight. Now if he goes back, he can't castle. And if he takes, probably take with the pawn. Queen d5 is immediately going to be trouble. But again, we're looking at a position where it's move 11. I'm castled. He's not. There's an open file to the king. He happens to be running into this. I've also got the bishop pair. Don't count me out here. So he really thought about his move, which is why he ended up going for this one. You can just tell, because he wanted to have c6 available. So I see exactly why he did what he did here. It does make sense from that perspective. Now, queen e4. If queen e7, we can probably move the queen again. We know that his next moves are bishop e7 and castle. We know that. So I kind of want to play against that a little bit. I'm going to start with a check. Not really sure how he's going to react. He might go here, but I can always give this check. I prefer it to queen b5 because c6 hits my queen, whereas here, just more distant. And I figured he might do this, and I wanted to have this move ready for him. And it's not the end of the world for black, but having to play king f8 is a little bit sad. Okay, so kind of a nice achievement here. If he goes here, we have bishop h6 coming. I mean, also bishop there. But I'm trying to think of what his next moves are going to be. His knight's terrible, like basically non-existent. But I cannot trade queens here. That helps him too much. Queen here and queen here. Those are the two queen trade moves that are about to appear. Those are the ones.
Takes control of my past addiction and reanimates my heart. Keep control of me. Try to keep the
So I think I'm gonna start with this. He can give us a check, and I'll play king b1. I think it's gonna be hard for him to develop here. So he can play queen g6, which I definitely expect from him. He goes here. I think it's a big mistake. Now I can play f4. This is protected. This is hit. My next move, rook e1. It's impossible to defend. Queen h4, we play g3 as well. And you don't have an answer for this. You can't move it because of mate. And you can't defend it at all. The queen is the last defender. Yeah, so very good move. Probably the only one. I'm thinking that I'm just going to react to this move the same way I would have if he did it immediately. The only difference is I have a free f4 move. So I'm going to go here. And my plan was, you can't move the bishop. Even if you play a6, I go here. How do you defend this? Like, you just can't. So I'm just going to take a step back. Not here because I want to keep the threat, but rather stay on e8. And even if c6, I'm still going to go here. And again, there's just no way to defend that bishop. So I'm just going to make sure on these moves not to like react by moving my bishop. It would still be like a great move. Bishop here or something. But yeah, I think the only thing he can do is move the f pawn and play queen f7. He doesn't, and he should be losing here. But again, it makes sense. It's move 17. I've got every single piece out. I'm castled. 2 bishops, more space, everything aimed where it needs to be. Black's bishop can't move, knight can't move, king didn't castle, and only has the queen developed. I mean, you could tell me that blindfolded without me seeing the board, and obviously I'd be like, okay, white's probably about to win. And he's gonna resign. And he resigns in a position where the material is dead even. You know how good your position has to be? Tap Youngs, I have a game review that I'd like to show you. I want to make sure that you can see it, the full picture. It is +9. And I'm not up a single piece of material. And it's my opponent's move. +9. And I'm not up material. And it's not my turn. I think, well, that's a good... Why don't we play that game? Why don't we play that game? What do you think the evaluation was before a6? So pawn would be here, rook would be here, and it's black's turn. What do you think the evaluation is? The engine is probably going to give a really nasty eval because of these rooks and the king's inability to get out. But it's probably not going to be related to winning material. It's probably related to, like, because we're talking about this position. Look at that. +6. So yeah, it's going to be a nasty eval, but it's nasty based on f6, rook here, queen there, and just probably like running the g-pawn. So what does it want? What are the moves you see here? Rook e2, literally tripling the, the pieces. Tons of rook e2. Okay, rook e2 just wins. So it wants this every single time. Even at the cost of our bishop, just get the rook in there and you just clean everything up. Yeah. Pretty nasty. And the more you let it sit, the more it's gonna improve. But yeah, +6. And f5 is the best, I guess, because it allows pieces to move. But yeah, +6. Not even up material. Nasty. I attack, you resign. Let's play d5. e4. Wait a minute. Is he attacking? He's taking my ideas from me. Takes and knight c3. So... what would a player who is trying to attack like this want to see the least? e5. e5, very effective. I think my opponent's already significantly worse. I mean, he pre-moved f3, so not going to be very successful. Make a normal move. Bishop g5, bishop e7. Knight c6. See how he wants to develop here. Okay, check, we have bishop e6. This and this is just maximum greed. Yeah, there's no way he goes for that. Okay, let's develop the knight and defend this. I'm gonna castle short to obviously stay in the spirit here, as you guys know. Okay, he goes here. The long castle to defend actually looks like a great move, but I'm just gonna go here. Like, take it if you want, dude. I have to be okay with that. I have to be. Okay, still not threatening our d-pawn here, very technically. Yeah, not threatening it. This looks still like a reasonable move, but do we have any other ones here? That looks pretty good. Let's go for it. Okay. He's offering us a pawn here. I feel rude not to take it. Queen takes f3. I mean, rook g1 is forced. It all looks so good. So I think a really nice inclusion will be queen takes f3. And we'll just play a great little move a6 here. I think this one is really going to be a KO. I mean, he's going to slowly realize that his rook's attacked, so he has to move it. And then a6 is... I mean, it's a tough thing to deal with because I clearly want him to take it. So I guess he's going to go back. Queen a4 doesn't look great. I don't know about this. But I figured that I could definitely get him to take. And the nasty thing, if you look at the queen and you look at how many squares it has available, I'm highlighting all the ones that are covered. Queen c7 is the only one. So rook a7 wins the queen. This queen's defending that. Now his reaction to this is certainly going to be bishop g2, which is actually a very interesting move. But that's why I've been saving queen e3 check to play against bishop g2. And anyway, now we just win the queen, and that should be a good game. Almost d3 here. Yeah, this always exists, but we have a check, not to mention a hanging piece. c3 is damn near clever, right? Checkmate, but our knight is there. It's damn near clever. Trying to look like a mouselet, but unfortunately, probably was an actual mouselet. e5, I think, is just a nice way to play against this. A lot of people play like knight f6 here, and then like take the pawn, and like I can see white getting a very good position quickly here. Not that it's good for white, but practically white generally does well here. So I think e5 is just a much better move. Is f5 insane? Yeah, f5 is insane. I would say f5 is borderline losing, because after f3 you're just gonna get killed. Like, now you have to either full commit to defending this pawn, or you have to all of a sudden switch and play like properly, which is counterattack this. And if you're gonna counterattack this, don't bother playing f5, I think. So f5 you'll see almost no strong players ever play. Yeah, if you like just look at this position here, nobody's playing f5 because they just know better. f5 always gets into trouble. You're not gonna hang on to that pawn, and if you're gonna end up taking, why bother committing f5 anyway? May as well just leave it here and defend with a piece. Okay. e4, knight f3, d4. Okay, so we have a bishop c5 guy. I've been playing knight b3 because I think it's really easy to get the pieces out. Here does allow knight g4, so maybe queen e2 to not allow that. And then do this. That's basically been how I've played so far. I guess we go here. I'd like to do this, but knight e4, knight d5, how does that work? Yeah, it actually should be okay here. Should be okay. Knight e4 looks like too much. Knight e4, knight d5. Yeah, bishop g5 might be a good move too, but I'm trying to stay simple here. And just, I've been playing this every time, like trade castle and then just like attack. He takes, yeah, I could be wrong here, but I'm gonna go like this. This looks quite scary for him. So after queen e6, even long castle looks insanely scary because I'm about to take the bishop and play knight c7, and in the meantime I'm still threatening here. He goes queen e5. I think we're most likely going to do this, but we don't have to. We can play knight takes. We can play bishop takes. Queen takes d5. And then maybe rook d1 or bishop takes c7. That looks good too. Yeah, castle kind of has a nice feeling to it, you know? Just a nice aggressive feel. Guards this pawn, guards this knight. We're down that pawn, but it feels like we have lots of pressure, and even if he does castle, it'll be on the opposite side of us, so I think we'll be able to still launch an attack. He takes. Taking with either of those doesn't really make sense to me, so I'm for sure going to take with the queen. Now, this is kind of loose, that's loose. He can castle, but there's pressure here. At the very least, I can win my pawn back by taking, you know? And maybe I even have better than that. But notice how this is hanging and that's hanging, and the queen's defending both. So if I just make a small move here, f4, he's going to have to give one of them up, and he's obviously not going to give up the piece, of course. I could also go f3, but let's say knight back, takes, knight takes. We only even up the pawns, so I'm going to elect to play f4. Queen's got to go somewhere. And how many squares can it go to defend this? 1, 2, 3. These two look terrible. This one looks requisite. And after that move, maybe g4, maybe bishop d3. Bishop d3 probably not because of that, but yeah, g4 looks like we'll win the game. Yeah, I'd love to be able to get a knight e7, but here, knight d4, they're not going to play knight takes. They're instead going to take my knight. So yeah, it has to be here, and then g4. And I think our opponent is kind of getting caught here. Mon, do you think you will struggle to find attacking ideas when you're in the upper echelons of chess.com? ELO 1600 plus. While I don't think I'll struggle to find attacking ideas, I think I will struggle more to definitively get an attacking position every single game. You know, the higher the rating, the less control of the game I can have. And of course, if you just force every game to be super attacking, you'll probably be taking a worse position. And the higher my opponent's ratings, the better they are going to be at punishing me for that. So if I keep trying to force an attacking game against stronger opponents, I'll probably get punished. So yeah, I think I might have a harder time guaranteeing an attack, because sometimes people play in a way where you just shouldn't launch an attack, like it's just not smart. So I will be doing my best. This is what I was scared of for him last time. The e4 knight is still loose. Now there's a rook and queen also hit. Big decisions from my opponent needed. Okay, I don't think we're going to be turning down a free rook here. Rook here is, of course, a very funny move because my next move is just going to attack it. So he's going to have to move it again. So not a very convincing move, rook e8 there. Once he moves the rook again, then I can focus up on this knight, and he literally moves it back. Now my knight goes here. So he literally just picked up the rook and returned, and nothing in his position changed. That can't be a good sign for him. F5 looks like it wins everything. It's a great move, but it feels like queen h6 just bails him out. And if I attack the knight in any other way, at some point you can probably just move it. So I don't actually know that I'm going to be winning the house here, but e5 is also possible. Yeah, I think we just keep it simple and attack the knight. Let's just go here. I will live by our good rule, our healthy rule. Don't overthink and trade the queens. Why would I overcomplicate things? Look at the pieces. I got a full extra row. So I'm actually a big advisor for once you do your attack, you win your material, trade the queens. It's just smart at that point. Might be knight coming into e3, but again, as long as we just defend things, I don't think anything too bad is going to happen. Let's do more trades. 97 is not a great move there, Lally, unfortunately. I'll be losing my pawn there for what I can see as no good reason. So trying to avoid that. Let's guard the pawn, attack the knight. Probably knight c5. Yeah, these will be my next moves. I really like rook e1 because it restricts the knight, puts pressure on this weak pawn. Knight coming into c5 next. And then b3 will remove the knight on c4. Everything looks like it's covered here. It's not a bad move at all. Not a bad move at all. A little h6. Can't fault anyone for good habits. e3 coming. Hey, he's on my team, looking for trades. I like that. I like myself a trade. Rook e8 is the threat. Takes. This looks simple enough. Just to keep the pawn. But yeah, knight e6. Coming up here. Push him, baby. Push him, baby. Oh. A little helpmate. My opponent and I were on the same team. Thanks. Ah. Yeah, this was a very successful opening here. Knight e4, far too ambitious. Far too ambitious. I don't know. This just looks suspicious. Knight e4 was greedy for sure. Yeah, it actually turned out to be a great position for us. So we'll take that position every single time. The reason that the Scotch has been working so well is it lends itself to long castling. We're at 1450 here. Hopefully on the way up. Bishop c4. Our Sicilian should be good here. He goes c3, which means he's really quickly trying to play d4. which is the only reason I would usually play a6, that I'm gonna really quickly play d5. Yeah, let's go bishop d7. Take with the queen. Who's queen here? Probably gonna castle this way. In the spirit. I don't really like bringing this rook over because I kind of like to use it on the other side. So yeah, it feels like we're kind of going the wrong way. Let's see what he wants to do. It's tough. This is exactly the kind of thing I'm talking about. Like if I was playing like a 1900 2000 here, I would be crazy to castle long, you know? So I'm gonna become a little bit more solid as the rating goes up. Just a little. Here takes 94, queen a3. The nice thing about that is that I kind of get going with tempi, so I may in fact be interested. So c4 is probably the safer move, although there are moves like this to deal with. So I'm going to choose the way that just kind of gets the pieces flowing a little bit. I like how things look here. Let's get like a g5 in. Because obviously he's going to develop pretty quickly, so this is not some foolproof idea. But I think we can really get things going. His queen's in a super awkward spot. Cost us a pawn, but I think this is a healthier situation. We get some kind of attack going here. Takes here. I'm not really gonna put too much thought into this. Knight here. Oh, the problem is this is check. But I could go king here, and if he takes this, ooh, queen g4, queen d6, and queen g3. I still think it's good though. Yeah, for sure gonna go for it. Have to. Because this is a really, like, pawn on f3 is kind of underrated. Even if we just like take back the exchange, that's it. I feel like queen g4 is a massive threat. We're very close to winning there, and our bishop's coming to c7 nicely. So yeah, this is on deck, but I think we'll just sidestep. Not here with check. He plays this one, but his problem is after this, he doesn't have any coordination. This queen and knight, right? This queen h3 and queen g2 is coming. Queen g4. Only move g3, then queen h3. This is a pattern I think everybody has to know, especially as an attacker. But yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if after knight d6, my opponent still needed to play some pretty good moves there. Yeah, this one will be nice and easy. Okay, so obviously it wasn't fully sound, but there's some hope here. There's some hope. So knight d6, right? We're gonna go king here. And I think it's the fact that the bishop or the queen gets to this diagonal. Otherwise, queen g4 is super strong. Yeah. After this, Unfortunately, the queen gets back to g3, so I'm cooked there. I was probably going to take this back, but my opponent still has to play very accurately here. This move loses immediately. Queen d6, we just go here. So, not that easy to do. And yeah, not queen g4, of course. Queen d6, winning for white. Rook e8, bishop f4. And this is what I mean. White can like stick this bishop in front, and then maybe if I take, just move the rook instead. It'd definitely be better. But only a little bit better, in my opinion. Still some fight for us. So this is us living on the edge here. But when you're playing like in an attacking style, you just kind of know this is the move you need. It needs to be, instead of this. Instead of g5, g4, did knight f2 work? Knight f2, bishop f2. Nope. Definitely not. Don't think knight f2 ever worked. After g5? How is knight f2 ever working? Knight f2, always bishop takes f2. What the hell are you talking about? Let's go Sicilian here. Okay, you're starting to play these Sicilians a little bit better. I remember in the past after c3, I was kind of playing d5, kind of like the position I just had. If I'm not mistaken, the position after e5 is going to be a little bit tricky to attack with. Oh, okay. Queen takes definitely spices things up a little bit more. Yeah, oh, that helps a lot. That helps a lot. I want to have a bit more life in the position, so I'm going to go f5. But yeah, my bishop clearly wants to go to b7, so maybe something like this. Looks like a great diagonal. Takes. Knight takes seems fine. Queen takes, also tempting. So I'm kind of between the moves. Knight takes is nice because it just hits the queen, but queen takes kind of develops a bit better. My knight's already out there. I feel like queen takes lends itself to attacking a little bit more. Knight takes, he just goes like queen h4, and I don't really feel the aggression. But now we can try to do this and maybe like castle. You can go bishop g5. I'll just take a step back with the queen. It's a weird position. I have these two open files, and my opponent has the two center files. The open F file is great for launching an attack, though. So it goes here, probably b6. Again, there's bishop here, but we'll just take a step back. Get castles. Let's continue with this. Probably knight d2. Looks fine here. It's an interesting move. I'm definitely going to respond like this, though. I really like knight f6. It means I'm going to get a bishop regardless. And when he takes there, I'm absolutely taking with the pawn, opening the g file. And I was talking about that bishop on b7 being a great attacking piece, and I think we're about to see it. Oof. Yeah. Rook g8 is super tough to handle. He needs to get knight d2 immediately to support his knight, because I'm very concerned for him. Oh god. Oh god. Oh look! g3. It's not going to be surprised that rook g8 is a very decent move. We can long castle at any time. This looks like huge trouble for white. I mean, let's start with the obvious. The only other thing to do is maybe keep the rook on the h file for h5, h4, but it seems too brain dead not to play this. Queen f4 is forced. Queen h5. Hard not to play a move like Queen h5. I mean, knight d2 looks obvious. You might get ambitious and play knight d4, which could not work. So I actually really like your idea, Tapions. The only reason I was a little suspicious of this move was Queen f5. Otherwise, I was actually a big fan. So he does go knight here, which is ambitious. e5, Queen f5, Rook g5. I think we win that? Question mark? Certainly looks like fun. I think that does it. Plus, there's some other ideas. But yeah, this looks like the way to go. I mean, he can play Queen e3, but then maybe Bishop c5. So yeah, let's definitely play this. And if Queen takes f6, I'm also thinking Rook g6. Yeah, e5, Rook e1 can happen, definitely. But I'm also a move away from long castling as well. So like, if Rook e1, I would long castle and same like issues would present, right? It would just be a fork. So here, this bishop is so valuable. I cannot let it go. I care a lot less about this bishop though, so bishop h6 or bishop c5 are going to be the moves here. Queen h3, he's just going to take my bishop. I don't think I can give that up. So yeah, I think this one is needed. I mean, to be honest, we should probably go there, but this one keeps the pressure going a little bit. Yeah, I think we just want to castle. Just get out of the pin. Okay, it goes like that, but now there's no more pin here, and this hits the queen, so that should be sufficient. I mean, at this point, it's quite literally like 100 different ways to win. I suppose the most satisfying is going to be this one. But like, bishop takes d4, queen takes, queen f3 is quite good. He's impressive for king f1, but luckily for me, I had accounted for him not taking my queen. I just had to brilliancy farm queen h2 first. Yeah, take the escape square, and then this will be checkmate in the corner. Just not pre-moving this, obviously, because queen d3 can be played. You know? Good game, good game. Yeah, so many things here. Queen h3, queen d5, bishop takes, and queen f3. Absolutely anything wins at this point. Rook e8. Yeah, it's just a crush. But yeah, it was nice to, first of all, like, again, I'm not saying I have a great position. I'm kind of like taking not the best position to make sure we get an attack. Bishop on the long diagonal was a guarantee. I knew I needed this, so I just started developing that first. And we'll figure out the rest later. This gave me a great opportunity. Like, being able to play g takes f6. At this point, I feel like I'm already completely winning. Rook g8, castle, bishop to one of these squares aimed at the king. It already feels terrible for white. I did hear that, Lopes. He was mentioning it. That'll be fun. Not only to hang out with the boys, but grind some OTB chess together. Yeah, I love that. Best of luck to you too. So yeah, just aim things at the king. Good things will happen. Time for more e4. Okay. Knight f3, and I'm sticking with it till it truly just like fails to give a double-edged attacking position. But I've been liking this knight b3, knight c3 kind of stuff. Okay, goes knight e7. Normally when the knight goes to e7 and not f6, immediately queen h5 becomes a strong contender. So just kind of living by that rule, I'm just going to play queen h5. This is just one of those patterns you become familiar with. You're like, okay, knight there, you just play queen h5. Because knight g6 never bothers the queen at all. So yeah, you're just kind of unbothered by any of black's moves. Now, we do need to continue developing. Let's go here. I'm not convinced f6 is a great move. I'm convinced that he just did play a great move. Impressed by that one. So impressed. Queen e8. I don't love queen exchange. So even though f6 is not necessarily the end of the world, it does trade the queens, which is kind of not what we're looking for here. We have to allow it. We're still castled on the opposite side there, so it's not completely crazy. Yeah, maybe we can still try to deny it for another move or so. Like knight e5, maybe bishop e7 or something. And still pretend that we've got threats. It goes d6. Yeah, probably long castle we want to do. And bishop e6, I think we plop this knight in on d5. I know this pawn is hanging, but just very irrelevant. That's all I can say about that. We just don't care about it. Ooh, we're very close to being completely winning here. I think we just are. So knight f6 forces mate on h7 if he goes there, so he has to take. And how does he stop queen h6, queen g7? There's nothing like this. In order to defend that square, you'd need to have a knight here, here, or here, none of which are possible. It almost seems like the only way to really do it is to give up the queen, or to go here and then give this check to force the queen back. But I still don't see how you're stopping my queen from then returning to h6. So I think you have to give up your queen here. All right. I hope I'm right, because I'm down a lot of material. Bishop d4, and this is one of those situations where queen g7 is always working, and it doesn't matter if something is like X-raying from the other side. This does not defend that, right? When your bishop's in the middle. In this case, it wouldn't matter because I could just take it. But the point is, it doesn't stop it. Nice game. Nice game. Knight f6. So even though he played queen e8 and I was praising him for it, it's a great move and an annoying move. Like, it's just a tremendous, very, very, very good move. After I played bishop c4, he needed to play something big active like this, even knight here, or knight here, knight here. He did this, allowed me to castle, and then when his queen stays here, queen e8 is a good temporary move. Let me put it that way. When you see white slide queen e1 or black slide queen e8, it's a great temporary move, meaning f3, f4, you know, some f-pawn move, and the queen needs to slide out to g6, g3, make use of it. The queen sliding here or here and then staying there is not often good, and we see that right here. It just kind of ruins the coordination. It goes knight g6, and knight f6 is like, out of nowhere, pretty nasty move. Just completely winning on the spot. The old Aman would not have played me. It might even be the opposite, Loafs. The young Aman would not have played the mate. Now I am the old Aman. The old Aman has some compassion. You know, not as wily as I was in my younger years. Don't want to do people too dirty. This is the type of move where if I played like rook takes d4 here, people in the YouTube comments would assume that, I mean, like, oh, you know, this is the same treatment you gave the guy who mortgaged his house twice. Don't support these guys. Comments don't forget about chicken pants. E4. Okay, so knight f6 against the Alakin. I usually just go for, of course, like e5. You have to play e5, and then on d6, I just go knight f3 and look to maybe take it back. Knight c6. Okay, we can play a more aggressive line here. I'll play e6, and it's definitely a line that exists. I'm playing it first because, like, kind of thought that I would get him to take, but if I'm being honest, the c4 first is the better move. But yeah, essentially he needs to take with the f-pawn there because he loses a piece now, and it would have been much smarter to do this move first because of this. So I'm gonna play a3 because d5, bishop f5, we don't need to deal with that. So let's just attack the knight here. But yeah, basically this e6 move is not the best move, but it is really tricky to handle. They have to take with the f-pawn, and the king is just uncomfortable, you know? And then the bishop can't develop, so they go g6 to go there, but then you hit them with an early h-pawn push, and I just see a lot of players mishandle it. So in the end, yeah, he goes here. Okay, we'll just check him just to force his knight to go back, and we'll win another piece with d5, and yeah, in about 10 moves, we won 2 pieces here, so that'll pretty much, that'll KO that opening, that's for sure. I mean, taking here, I mean, at this point, it's like just unnecessary. Definitely a good piece of advice is not to go pawn hunting when you're up 2 pieces. Trust me, you've done enough. You've got more than enough material to be completely winning. Okay, well, just, again, I'm not material, so trade with me. d5 here will probably win the queen. We'll see. I assume he's going to go bishop g7. I could also see him... Yeah, I was going to say. I could also see him losing his queen voluntarily. So that's helpful. Gotta put those openings like the Alakin in the dirt. But I certainly recommend... I feel like a lot of people against the Alakin like to play... they like to play this. Like, they like to play c4, f4. They're just like chasing the knights around. And definitely the whole point of the opening is to make you think that it's a good idea to chase the pieces around forever. So I feel like it's a little bit of a bait, and I like to keep it much more controlled with just knight f3 and not overextend too much. Yeah, so he goes knight c6. I mean, c4 is normal here. I decided to go e6 just because it's kind of a fun variation. It's pretty aggressive, so I think it's enjoyable. You have a good time playing it, and anytime you're playing a sack like this, and the engine doesn't even strongly prefer black, it's like, okay, I'm doing the right thing. I mean, this is the best news possible. Sacking an entire pawn, and after taking back, the engine is like, yeah, still like white's position. It's like, okay, definitely sign me up for that. Just a fun position to play. After pawn takes, I mentioned that bishop is probably going to need to develop to g7, and that's why it's really nice. You pretty much follow up with like the h pawn, bishop d3, bishop c4, knight c3, queen e2, and it's just hard for him to play e5, hard to play e6, bishop hard to develop, queen hard to develop as well, bishop hard to develop, which is why, you know, most of the time you'll see in spots like even c3 is like a great move. You'll see g6, and then it's like, okay, h4. Can be tough to get something going here for black. Just the simple h-pawn push can sometimes be enough. Yeah, I think white just thrusts the h-pawn because black always plays g6. And you just always get a good position that way. So that's what could have happened, but not to be. Okay, we got the black pieces. e4, I assume. Yeah, let's stick with the Sicilian again. Always going for this. People still play bishop c4. I just think this Sicilian gives the best attacking chances. And I'm not even going full knight c6 because they have the option to take, which I find a little bit low energy. Bishop d3. Let's go here. Okay, it's going early h3. Let's go knight here because there's no e5. So I assume he'll play knight here, but he might be worried about that and play knight d2. Or he might play f3, which is not a good looking move. The moves that you guys see me play, I feel like are relatively uniform. Let's go h5. I feel like h5 is always useful, even if they play f4. Like, you know, e5, for example, we always have knight d5, so not concerned. Let's go here. Again, e5, knight d5, no problem. Probably bishop out. There's some cases where I want to go h4, knight h5, knight g3, so I'm keeping that available, but yeah, he does go for something a little bit more active here. But let's see. I have a lot of moves I can do here. Queen g3, knight g4, knight d4, knight e5, bishop c5. Quite the array. I feel like the one that might cause him the most trouble is bishop c5 and knight g4. I like the idea of knight g4 because it hits the bishop and threatens mate. But I don't want him to respond with bishop f4, right? This is like kind of annoying. Like he'll take the knight and then go bishop f4. So trying to figure out the best way to make that work. Maybe it is immediately. I wanted to go here, but knight b3 Feels like it kills my fun a little bit. Also, knight g4 takes. Queen h2 is not even mate. You know? So we don't want to do too many ridiculous things that we can't even like come back from it. Also, f5 doesn't threaten anything to me. Like, it doesn't do anything that looks bothersome. I'm okay with the position. I'm gonna go here, and if knight b3, I'll just drop back. Keep the pin. Again, I'm not really scared of this. Okay. It's a solid move. Yeah, that's a pretty solid move. Okay, well, let's throw our good moves in there. We love a knight g4, don't we, folks? Well, I'm threatening mate, and I'm threatening the bishop, so it feels like you pretty much have to take it. Knight b3 would have been a different story, but yeah, you know, we're activating the queen and the rook, and I was kind of hoping for this because we get to unlock knight takes d4 now, and the power of double checks, folks. We get a nice little mate here. Very nice, very nice. It was a tough position to defend, I have to say. Knight g4, like, I don't know if it's fully sound, but you're not gonna convince me away from knight g4 that easily. First of all, takes. I mentioned earlier, this is not mate. And the fact that it's not mate, I think is exactly what saves white. That I'm not threatening mate in one. But it looks scary enough, and it's the intention of the whole thing, that bishop f4 becomes a natural reaction, like, to stop it. And knight d4 here is just killer. I mean, the game ends immediately. Takes. Yeah, it's just unplayable. So you can't play this. But then if you can't play this and you can't bring a knight here, you have to allow queen takes queen to h2, and that looks like a problem. So yeah, he took that queen. He said, "Give me the material. If I'm gonna die, my belly's gonna be full." That's a nice attacking game right there. But that's why I've been playing the Sicilian. I pretty much always do the same setup. Have you noticed that? My queen goes here. My pawns are like this. I put my bishop on b7. I play knight f6 with the general idea that, you know, I want to have e5 controlled. And if they have f4, then, you know, e5, I always want to make sure I have knight d5. If he has a knight on c3, I want to make sure knight d5 I can take with my piece. So I always have that bishop open. I never want to play knight d5 and take with the e-pawn. Never, ever. So yeah, I might play this at some point. You'll always see me do that. This bishop, for the most part, you'll see me trying to get it to c5. And you'll almost always see me play h5. Even if they have h3, h5 is just a great move. It's like a nice hook to include in the position. Because my plan is never to castle. Ever. Certainly not in this series. And in these positions in general, you can avoid castling for a while. Notice how he played f5 and am I scared? He literally passed the move to him and it's still not frightening. You know? Like, the open f5, I've got my knight there. Like, I'm okay. I've got the e5 square as well. Brilliancy check? No, it's not a brilliancy. As I said, it relies on the fear you instill in the opponent. To avoid that. So that won't be a brilliancy. But knight takes d4 might. So knight here, no brilliancy. Knight takes d4, hanging my queen. I think we can count it. This could be the 1500 game right here. All right. Let's see, for 1500, Going d4, I'm just gonna respond d5. We'll see what he wants to do. Yeah, let's just choose the most aggressive variation here. Okay, and we chose the most aggressive, and he chose the absolute lamest response. Okay, I'm gonna go e4. I'm going to attempt to show a kind of interesting way to play. Let's go knight here. I'm not gonna go taking this back. First of all, knight takes immediately loses the pawn, so it's nothing I would ever consider. But I'm gonna play bishop here and see how he reacts. Yeah, he goes here. We have to defend that, so queen e7, I think. I could also go bishop f5. Let's just go here. The most important move that I'm like dying to get is this. Like that. That move is gonna make me happy. This type of setup, if I could get it with the white pieces, because sometimes you can, you always have this move because you're playing with white, you have an extra move. So you can always spend the extra moment to do that. In this case, I have to watch my pawns, so I can't quite go a6. But it's such a key move. Not only does it stop the check, but it stops knight b5, and this bishop's like our main attacker. So here, that's exactly what I want to see. I want to see the guy all in protect that d-pawn. Little does he know, I have zero intention to ever recapture this pawn. In fact, I prefer my position now than if the pawn was off the board. It blocks the bishop, blocks the knight, so I'm gonna get this magic a6 move in. It's gonna stop absolutely everything. And now, even though I'm gonna castle this way, even if he castles this way too, I'm gonna be the one attacking on this side. So I don't even mind doing this. This is the only thing that I need to be careful of, this pawn right here. That needs overprotection. Bishop f5, rook e8, all in on that pawn. If I make that pawn happy, wow, he decides to go there. I mean, this guy's quite impressive for f3. Shows some good understanding. A lot of people would just play knight e2 because they want to develop and it's the only square available. f3, in my opinion, showing some understanding. I'm going to start with bishop f5, but this might get extremely spicy. Queen h4 becomes a move. We might go knight f3 now, but we're playing knight here. We're anchoring this knight in. We're bringing the rook over, maybe pushing the f-pawn if the position somehow calls for it. Okay, I mean, a move like this does kind of fail to knight g3, so yeah, it's moments like this where I'm not even going to get to really show my attack because this one just wins. And I'm not going to shy away from material. This is all part of why this setup is so strong. This pawn on d5 is so irrelevant, but a6 was the key. After a6, weight was off my shoulders. Knight g3 is just a simple double attack or discovered attack. Hitting the queen and hitting the rook. e4 can be played. Yes, I could come back and take that pawn, but I can also just take the rook because I can't even take my bishop, so I'll have to see. Yeah, bishop d3. I'm not going to take and lose a piece, so for sure we're going to take. Then obviously knight takes on h1. And I'm not convinced that I'm going to get that knight out, so that's not what I'm saying. But everything has kind of gone according to plan here so far. This is exactly how the opening is supposed to work. And even though my opponent didn't handle it correctly, I'm still shouting him out for f3. Not a lot of people would do this. They would just develop their pieces, normal. That's impressive by him. It really is. Because if he doesn't play f3, he'll get attacked in a pretty nasty way. Alright, knight here, rook here. Yeah, I was looking at bishop h2, but I don't know how greedy we want to be and how much we want to focus on just developing. So I'm definitely going to go knight d7. This looks like I could come to regret it. Yeah, he goes e5. Probably this, although sacking looks tremendous. Yeah, sacking might just be the way here. h2 is going to be hanging there. It gets rid of all his center. And then the rook comes to the open file. I'm feeling pretty good about that. f6, the only thing I don't like is e6. So, yeah. Actually, let's take with the bishop. Yeah. So this feels good. Even though we're sacrificing here, remember, I still have this guy that I'm probably going to be extracting now from this position. This. So that sacrifice actually helps me out a lot. I actually would have been more annoyed by a position here where white plays like bishop d2 in castles or bishop e3 castle. So if I play f5, I have to lose the piece anyway, but he gets castled, and I'm still not 100% sure I'm getting that knight out. Okay, obviously he wants queen trade and then maybe to pick up that knight, but don't think we're going to allow that. Let's take here. We're freeing our knight, and rook e8 is coming. Yeah, there's no way that knight gets trapped in the corner now. It has a very easy access to the center again. Knight g3 and knight e4, knight f5. Rook e8 is really hard to deal with for the opponent here. You almost got to waste time moving your king again. Okay, yeah, I guess you could do this one as well. Certainly going to be moving the rook over. I guess we should probably use this one so that we have this one for the d file. But yeah, after this, knight g3 looks to be the simplest. Yeah, we can take here as well, but I mean, it's all winning. It's just this makes an immediate threat. So I prefer that. Also, bishop here. Was thinking we just go queen g1. Yeah, queen g3, I can just take it. Just remember that knight is pinned on e2. Queen takes g2 pawn would also be a tremendous move here, so no issues if that was your instinct. He does play this move. Again, there's something about this guy, like, he definitely has a little bit of intuition for what could be the best move in a position. There's a number of ways I can go about things here. I can shack, which is looking likely, and just take the rook. And then he can take this knight some way, somehow, but I've got two rooks. Or we could do what's going to be more likely at this point. Shack here. King move. Shack here. Probably queen takes. And then either takes here or knight takes here. Should end up a rook from all these lines. There's also queen d4. But the bottom line is, I think we want to give this check. Let's start with it. Check. King up, and certainly rook takes e2. There's only one move, so takes. Now queen takes here. Trades the queens. There's only a bishop and a rook left, so it'd be up the exchange. Knight takes, and knight takes here. Again, you can win the knight with like bishop here or like going with the king, but it'll be rook against bishop and me with like a ton of pawns. So I think that's probably good enough. Queen here is the other one, and then queen d3. I'm being like really objective. That's the way to go, but this is much better in terms of good chess habits to do this, and then there's just no chance that you lose this position. Now he let my knight escape, so. GG. Making sure to get the queens off there. And hey, we hit 1500 quite exactly. On the dot. 1500. Very nice. Very nice, very nice. The nice perfect +6 at the end. This was a queen's gambit, but I'm a huge fan of this setup here. I was happy with the decision to go for it. It's not going to be the best because usually you're supposed to get this with white, but the ideas are very like common. Like people always just overprotect this instead of going after this. And if white didn't play f3 and played the more natural like knight e2, I swear, like we would get some real serious attacks going here. So I can show you what I mean. Usually you get it from these kind of positions. Like let's say the French, there's a line in the French that you can do, which I think is great in blitz, where you play knight f3, takes, and bishop d3. Exact same position. Knight here, and then immediately a3. And most people don't really know how to handle this position, don't know how to develop very well. It's not like it's great for white, but they go like, because the bishop can only really go there. So if they go here, let's say, and then they go knight here, and then you can go knight d2, whatever. You can castle as well. Okay, sometimes they castle and you can immediately get some bishop h7 stuff, but let's say this. But even still, like at some point you're going to reclaim this pawn, or you don't even have to worry about that pawn. You can just castle. Always looking at this bishop h7, knight g5 stuff. You'll get the pawn back later, and people are usually very apprehensive playing the move f6. So it's a great move, but a lot of people just don't do it, and then they just get killed because this pawn is the best thing you can have for attacking a king. It means there's no knight here to cover things, and then the bishop always has an open line when the pawn's on e5. Thanks very much, Latin and Blonde. That's 15 subs for 1500. 1-5. Thank you, Latinum. 3 kick Cincos. Very nice, guys. We got some pretty good attacking games. I'm still convinced that the Scotch is unstoppable. I'm liking this knight b3 thing. I didn't really plan to do that, but it just... People play bishop c5, and it's like, do I want to play knight takes c6? Hell no. Screw that. I'd rather play this knight b3 stuff. Knight g6, always the same. Rook e1, overprotect the e-pawn. Later, like g3, h4. That's always what you do against the knight on g6. g3, h4, h5. Alright, GG's. I'm off to speedrun for now. Let's switch my account back. Always got to be on the KNVB account. Never know what's going to break out in chat. $55, Tim. Jesus. Jesus. Hello to Ralph. Here we go. Change our title here. Saw that you're like 1580 something, 6, 4. Not bad at all. Not bad at all. Oh, 1596 now. 97. Jeez. Everyone's barometer was off on the Tim readings. Including Tim. Yeah, call him out there, Carl. Call him out. That's up to 550 minutes of play, Tim. Didn't you know? Hello, Mr. Thrust. Yeah, you got a few people in here, Latinum. Well played. You had good spray with those 15 subs. Let's see who's on here. I hope our dear friends at Chess TV enjoyed the struggle. Speedrun struggle. Fell into the trap. That was a good comeback from a just unlucky start. I've played this guy before. We played an insanely long match. I just have to get in the rhythm of this guy's openings again. Like, I kind of forgot. He has, like... I'm trying to remember what his skill set is. Everyone has a different one. There was knight d4 there, but it doesn't really matter. Quite lucky there, but... yeah, I just have to get used to what kind of moves that he wants to play. I remember we had quite a long match before. Like, maybe it wasn't that long, but it felt like a long match. That wasn't the best. Oh no. Just got outplayed on time there pretty badly. Just hung me. This guy's funny. We definitely deserve to win that game. Definitely, as you can see from the kind of games we play, you can definitely run up the score with him, but it's very unforgiving when he gets one on you. Shoot. He plays so fast that what? That was a weird pre-move. Obviously not a good one, but it didn't make any sense. Why would you all of a sudden do that? Should have gone to e5. Okay. Resign. He actually did hang his piece there. Yeah, but he's so fast that there's never a real chance here. How did that wrong? Had to catch the queen there with a bit of luck. Of course, queen d3 was a mouse slip, but we still weren't doing that well there. It's like a very good position. Lucky to not lose, my opinion. Clean.
Today was another sunny day for me, going, but hearing the sound of the real funk on dancing cars. Real thing that human being can do is to keep on standing and rise up like a flower underground, like a flower from underground.
He allowed that after everything. It's crazy. Very annoying. It's playing well. Just couldn't get a mate. I don't know, there probably was one, but couldn't think of it that quick, at least. I'm way behind right now. Just tell. Rook's hanging, but it wasn't.
Today was such a sunny day for us going, but hearing the sound of the real funk condensing. The reason thing that human being can do is to keep on standing around here.
Wow.
Dance on the floor. Hey, hey, hey.
So annoying, these games. I don't know how he wasn't mated there. That was actually like, you know, just impressive defense. Like, how the hell did he not get mated? I have no idea. I would have got mated.
Today was such a sunny day for us going, but hearing the sound of the real funk condensing. The reason thing that human being can do is to keep on standing around here.
Thank you, Johnny. I'm in the gauntlet here. Should have a better score. The likelihood. I mean, I wasn't gonna meet him, I guess. He's just so fast, like. But still. Of all the squares. Somehow that's the draw. I guess we have 0.6. Like, would have had to get extremely lucky to mate him there. Okay, we do not want to trade dark square bishops. Huge mistake to let my king get there. Not good technique. There's many opportunities. He's like, he just plays the first move that comes to mind a lot. Oh, we can't even take that. The problem is it's 3-second chess, so. I think he could have played that on. I would have expected to play it on as well. Oh, dude, we keep playing this line and I keep playing into this. So quick at the end. It's amazing. Ugh. Have a little bit more time, maybe he takes and we stalemate on h1. Okay, he played g6, which was unexpected. wants to draw up time, that's fine. We often get in these positions where we're just kind of shuffling around. And he shuffles way faster because he doesn't care about the quality of the move at all. Whereas I put some thought in, and it's too much. It's too much thought. And then we end up like, yeah, he just goes faster than me. It's not worth it. Oh, I'm down a piece here. See, like, I'm not even counting. Something about this line that needs to stop immediately. Holy. This guy just played B3. What an insane move. B3 when you're up all that material and everything. It's like, what? Someone tell me. Can you believe I won that game in less than 10 moves based on the moves I played? Whoa. Okay, so that's actually like laggy. Ooh, I was very vulnerable to checkmate there. I think he tried to pre-move A takes B3 there, and he slipped A3. Okay. I knew something was off. I said I felt in that last game, I was like, it's actually legit laggy. Like a different type of lag. Like I actually felt it when I was picking the piece up. We're going too fast. I think we crashed it. Yeah, not a bad place to stop anyway. 30 to 17. GG's. We've played so many games against one another now. That's right, Salt. Not bad, not bad. You make it sound so close, Penny, but it's so far away. Okay, 36th on the leaderboard, but are we really 36th on the leaderboard and closing in on top 10? Man, these points are so hard to get. Like 10 more points, boom, jump another place. Dude, Andy Woodward is crazy. I'm telling you, this guy's a danger in bullet. A real danger. Man, is Kiri really playing bullet? Because don't you have to at least play to stay active? Okay, what? Is this Arena Kings or something? Oh, Bullet Brawl. Ah, okay, he plays Bullet Brawl. He must have played Bullet Brawl. January 6th. It's a long time ago, like he doesn't play Bullet. But yeah, these are all from Bullet Brawl, I think. January 6th, and before that he played July 2023. So Anish should be, he'll fall off that leaderboard eventually. Get him out of there. Hey, Dirty Master Chief.
Just a few words before you.
Hello, Big Dirty.
I cannot sleep because I keep thinking of you. My cock is so hard it hurts.
Let's see. Minimalism, Freedom, Friday evening. Really? Not rhythm, but rhythm. This was a good song. New day list, Tim. Okay, I can get into it. Okay. Magnus playing Jorden. Blitz, it looks like. The boys are active. I'm actually not too sure, but I think it has something to do with like a chess.com thing. Yeah, rook e1 where you're falling into what he wants. It's always the case that whenever rooks go like this, the knight moves back, and no matter which rook you take the other one, you know? So you can never win material that way. In fact, you playing rook e1 is the exact reason that the other guy's pieces are free. So it's like finally his knight can move after you go rook e1. This is still tense. Man. How the hell does he do it? Maybe he's gonna go here, here, and then just play. King g5, rook d5. Yeah, there's rook f6 though. Somehow Magnus gets the position where he's the one trying to win though. Impressive guy. I think he'll make the draw here. Not only is he lower on time, but I don't think he cares to try. That's correct, Penny. Clear gym energy from the guy. Jeff, did you see the E-Day tweet about the visas?
Yeah.
It's funny after hosting like the drawing of lots, now that actually help us host the event now.
Yeah. It's good.
Actually, we thought the hockey pucks would be in our favor for the visas. We did the hockey pucks, bro. How can you deny our visas now? This is a disaster opening. Oof, this is quite bad. What up, Dave? I'm just DJing. Just got done a dirty bullet session and some speedrun. We were watching the team chess battle earlier. Eric's gonna continue the stream, so you're kind of here at the end of my session. I was just wrapping up. We're watching Magnus, trying to levy some good music here. But I'll be back streaming tomorrow, probably a little bit later, like maybe at night, and definitely on Sunday as well. We're also going to be recording some more TikToks this Sunday. Did you guys see our latest TikTok? You saw it, Jeff? It's definitely one of the, I mean, I don't know if it's everyone's favorite, but it's definitely one of the weirder ones. I think that's always a fair anticipation, Dave, but I actually don't know. I'm just gonna say yes as a blind, you know, good value guess. Exactly, Gory, the Bollywood one. That was a pretty easy win for Magnus. Devon, they're uploaded everywhere. So if you're following us on Instagram, you'll see it there. YouTube Shorts, not just TikTok. Yeah, exactly what Undercracker said. It depends like where you catch it. So this is actually pretty creative. Two people are arguing, of course, in Magnus's game chat on chess.com. And they're having a heated argument back and forth. And then one of them says, Magnus is streaming right now on YouTube. And I literally heard him just say, other guy's username is dumb. So it's like Kinda Young Dave and Essay Writer are arguing. And all of a sudden Dave's like, bro, Magnus is streaming right now. Heard him just say that Essay Writer is stupid. Oh, that's a good one. That's a burn right there. He's streaming. I heard him. It definitely happened. Because you wouldn't say that about someone else, Essay Writer, but I could see Dave getting heated, you know. Comments could fly. You're the good guy in this situation. That's right, MM. Pretty nice. A nice little matchup between the boyos. Jin makes me sin. Good name. Hope you're sticking around, MM, for the rest of the stream. We still have some kick fun to be had. Lurk for a bit. Good. The Chief will make an appearance. I'm just gonna I'll leave it on Magnus's game for now. Knight G3 is a sexy looking move. Okay. check. There's no bishop d4. So he must be lifting a rook at some point because there's no bishop e5 or anything. Magnus sees some something here. Bishop b2 is hanging as well, by the way. So I'll leave it on the game here so we can watch Magnus play, but that's it for me. I'll see you guys tomorrow for another stream. But calling it early today. Started early, calling it early. Stream's not done though. Have a good rest of the stream. Bye for now.
this atlas world, they want to find me dead in my sheets. I have to wake up in another place. Yeah. In this atlas world, they want to find me.
Hey, good evening, good evening.